The issues affecting you. Revealed, explained, discussed. Now on WGAL 8 in Focus.
Hello, I'm Susan Shapiro. The start of the Paris Olympics is now just days away. Tonight, we'll talk with 5 former Olympians from the Susquehanna Valley about what it's like to compete on the world stage. Swimmer Whitney Metzler Tucker of York County finished 8th in the 400-meter individual medley in 1996 in Atlanta. Jamie Gray Corkish of Lebanon County competed in shooting and won the gold in the women's 50-meter rifle 3 positions in 2012 in London. Elise Fountain Vaught of Dauphin County competed in the heptathlon in 2008 in the Games in Beijing. She originally won the bronze medal, but after the silver medalist tested positive on her drug test, Fountain received the silver. And 2 field hockey players from Lancaster County played with Team USA. Dana Sensenig-Risser played in 2008, and Jill Whitmer-Funk played in 2016 in Rio. Tonight, we're putting former Susquehanna Valley Olympians in focus. Joining us now is Whitney Metzler, who competed in swimming in the 1996 Atlanta Summer Olympics, and she finished 8th in the women's 400-meter individual medley. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. I'm glad.
What an accomplishment that is.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's a long time ago, but it was a big deal.
Yeah, but yet you have said it took you years to realize it was a big deal.
Well, yeah, I think when I made the team, I was not aware of it. I was 17 years old when I made the Olympic team. It was the next natural step to make the team, and I didn't realize until later that the small volume of people that make it. So 45 people every Olympiad that make the team for the United States Olympic swim team, and I was one of them. Yeah. So it was a big deal, but I didn't realize it. It was probably a good 15, 16 years later that I realized.
You have 5 children. Did they say, oh, mom's an Olympic athlete?
No, I'm just mom to them. I didn't even tell my children that I was an Olympian. In fact, my kids always learned through a teacher, or I think my youngest might have found out from her brothers. But teachers would tell them throughout their life. And I think for the longest time that they didn't realize that not everyone's mom was an Olympian. So to them, it was no big deal. And sometimes it's still no big deal to them. So even like when I told them today I was coming over here, they were like, well, why? And I was like, because guys, people think I might be a little cool, right?
I'm a big deal, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're 17, so no mom is cool then, right? But, some people think your mom has actually did something special to guys. So it is what it is, but I'm just mom to them, and now I'm good with that.
You trained in Baltimore at a very well-known aquatic center.
That is correct.
What was your training regimen like?
It was very difficult, but I was luckily surrounded by a lot of really supportive families, and we now try to be that kind of supportive family to other golf families. So what I did was I would swim. I get up about 5:15 in the morning. Swim practice was 5:45, so in the water at 5:45 till 7:30, about 7:30. Changed, throw my hair in a bun. I didn't care at that point. Drive back up to Dallastown. I was high school senior at Dallastown. This was my regimen for my last 3 years in high school. So go to second period there. So about 8:30 is when I started high school. Spend the rest of my day there, drive back down to Baltimore for afternoon practice. Afternoon practice was about 2.5 hours, and then we'd have about an hour of dry land.
That is such a commitment. What is it mentally that makes you that committed?
I don't know. The thing I come back to now, being a parent of athletes, is that I really love to compete, and the competition part of it always paid the dividends. So yeah, the day-to-day training aspect of it was annoying and difficult, but the day-to-day training isn't why you do the sport. You do the sport for the competition and the meets, and that's why I did it.
And you said you're a natural competitor.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm definitely still very competitive. So
what was the Atlanta experience like for you?
It was really awesome because it was hometown, and I got to go out of the country for other swim meets. So I mean, I didn't lose that experience. But for us in particular, I was able to have my parents there. My best friend from high school was there. My sister was there. One of the officials was even a local resident, Lancaster County resident, who I had grown up knowing my entire life. Peaches Clayton was one of the swimming officials that at the Atlanta Olympics touched the wall, looked up, and there she was. It was amazing.
It was
So.
like being home, right?
Yes, it was. It was absolutely amazing. So, and you had the hometown crowd there. You could hear them roaring when you would come, your head would pop up through the water. And butterfly breaststroke, it was wonderful.
Just quickly, obviously
Yeah.
that was an Olympics where there was a bombing and
Yes.
bomb threats. How much did that impact the experience?
I don't think people realize how many bomb threats we had. So I actually did leave the games early. I didn't stay for closing ceremonies because we had routine bomb threats after that initial one. And I mean, I think most of them were all false. But it did tarnish the end of it. But the bombing was the very last day of swimming, so it did not impact my competition schedule or anything like that.
Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And coming up on WGAL 8 in Focus, we'll talk with a gold medalist from Lebanon County.
This is WGAL 8 in Focus. Coverage you can count on.
Joining us now is Jamie Korkish, who's a gold medal winner in shooting in 2012. She's from Palmyra, Lebanon County. You won the gold in the women's 50-meter rifle 3 positions. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me from afar.
Yeah, you're joining us from Montana. We appreciate that. A gold medal in the Olympics, that is an incredible feat. What was that like for you?
Yeah, you know, you get that question a lot. And honestly, it's a little bit of relief. You work for this. I set this goal out when I was 16. And to finally accomplish that goal over 10 years later is a little bit of a relief. It's excitement. It's thinking about all the time that you put into this, and not everyone gets to celebrate on the top step of the podium.
Yeah, that's for sure. Very few do that. What got you into shooting?
Yeah, my dad was really interested in the shooting sports, got my older brother started. And, you know, I was just that younger sister that wanted to beat her older brother at everything he did. And so I followed in his footsteps. I remember the day I beat him the first time and, you know, kept going from there. So it's, you know, thankful my brother got into it so I could have something to beat him at.
Shooting seems to take such great concentration and obviously skill. How do you manage that, you know, mentally?
Yeah, it becomes a mental sport. All sports become a mental sport at the end of the day at some point. And it's really a lot of time spent off the range. I read a lot of books on mental side of sport, as well as I work closely with a sports psychologist and just really honed in on that game of the mental side of the game. And, you know, it really does come down to competing. You know, a lot of the people you compete against can practice really well, but don't compete. And luckily I started from a young age just competing in a lot of matches. So that's what drove me. That was the excitement for shooting for me was getting to a competition and actually competing.
You're now doing some coaching. What is it like to train the upcoming generations?
Yeah, it's so much fun. Honestly, it's great to just see their success. Sometimes it's hard to step back and not have the control, but it's super fun to see them, you know, get to where they want to go, set goals, help them set the goals to be able to get to meet their ultimate goal. And some of them have Olympic aspirations, and some just want to make it to college and shoot in college. So, you know, it's all about helping them get to where they are, and it's always great to see that younger generation just strive for the things they set out to do.
Speaking of aspirations, was the Olympics always your aspiration?
Yeah, from about the age of 16, I started competitive shooting from a very young age in BB gun, and then moved into rifle shooting. And about 16, I decided I wanted to win an Olympic gold, not just make it to the Olympics, but I wanted to win. Had a couple failures to get there along the way, but your failures always help you succeed in the end.
You were in the Olympics in 2012, and then also you competed in 2008. What was the experience like to be in the Olympic Village, to be there with other athletes?
Yeah, it's awesome to see that many athletes come together. You know, I got to walk in the opening ceremony in 2008, and the second you walk into that ceremony and just everyone's chanting Team USA, and you really just feel like a team. It's not about you anymore. It's about the United States of America. And it was just such a great experience to see that and feel that camaraderie come together. And then to, you know, obviously you're close with your sport, but you get to really experience that with all sports, which is awesome. And then to be able to be in the Olympic Village and just see the amount of athletes that are competing in the games and from so many different countries, you know, the two Olympics I went to, it was just such a great show. They, they take care of you. There's just so much there that, you just get to have a great experience as much as you want.
Do you still watch the Olympics and tune in?
Oh yeah, it's on TV constantly, and it's a lot easier now, right? You can watch any sport you want to with our streaming now, so it's a lot of fun to be able to turn to whatever sport is interesting at the time. I like to watch it all, not just shooting. So I'm always tuning in to whatever's on and cheering on Team USA.
Jamie, I know people ask you this all the time about the medal. Show me the medal.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow. Is it bigger, heavier, different than you thought it would be?
It is. It was the heaviest, biggest medal since in 2012. So anything prior to it was the biggest medal. Super heavy is great. I love the story behind the medals. And, just to look at the medal and understand the journey that went behind it, right? It really is about that journey to get to the games, to get to that top podium. So many memories, so many people that influence you along the way. And so it's not just my medal, it's Team USA's medal. It's those that have helped me get there, and I remember that every day.
That's wonderful. I know you don't wear it around all the time, but we appreciate you showing it off. Thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Coming up on WGAL 8 in Focus, we'll talk with a silver medalist who went to school in Dauphin County.
This is WGAL 8 in Focus. Coverage you can count on.
Joining us now is Hylise Fountain Vaught, who won the silver medal in the 2008 Beijing Olympics in the heptathlon. Thank you so much for being here. It's an honor to talk to you.
Thank you.
You have said that winning an Olympic medal was an out-of-body experience. What did you mean by that?
It was an out-of-body experience. You train for something so long and you dream of it, and sometimes you don't get there. But when you do get there, it's just like you're so filled with emotion that it's just so emotional. You just don't know how to handle it, and you just cry, So, and you hope that everybody gets to experience that with you.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And you were the only American woman to win an Olympic medal in heptathlon since Jackie Joyner-Kersee. What was that like to join her ranks?
Oh, it was truly amazing to follow in her footsteps. She was definitely a mentor to me going into those games and gave me a lot of wisdom going in, just learning how to focus, making sure I'm sleeping right and eating right and not worrying about the biggest thing is social media. And so I did stay off for a while just to kind of focus on myself and really be able to be prepared to step out on the track and perform to my best.
What got you into heptathlon? It's definitely an unusual sport there in the Olympics.
Yes, it definitely takes a special person to do that. But I guess in high school, I did a lot of different events and I loved trying different things. And I just always looked up to Jackie Joyner-Kersee, and I knew that when I went to college that was something I wanted to at least try and see if I liked it. And it was a good match. So.
What is life like when you get to that, that level of performance in terms of training and what you have to do?
Yeah, training is hard, obviously. A lot of your time is spent just training and, going to the chiropractor, going to the massage therapist. I kind of trained alone a good bit for that time. So it can be lonely at times if you don't have like a group of people you're training with. But I knew it was the sacrifice that I needed to make to, achieve that goal. And so I was definitely ready for that.
I read where you said you didn't put a lot of pressure on yourself. How did you not do that?
Well, when you train hard and you just trust what God has planned for you, there's no pressure for me. I just, I knew I trusted in my training and everything that I had done to get to that point. And if I tried my hardest, that I had to be, happy with whatever the outcome was, and so the outcome ended up being great. And so I was excited.
And certainly once an Olympic athlete, always an Olympic athlete, but you did get into coaching and you now have a business training people in performance. What's that like to train, hopefully, the next generation of Olympic athletes?
You know, it is so exciting. I love seeing the success of other athletes. Like, I actually get kind of emotional. My husband kind of laughs at me sometimes because, you know, when I see our athletes doing great, I just know that, you know, we're changing lives in our youth, in our community. And one of the reasons why we moved to, you know, Myrtle Beach is because we said that we wanted to be in a community that we could change and be in a community that we could serve. And now when the parents, like, we got a call today saying how a child did so good at like a camp, that a combine camp that they did, you know, that type of stuff just makes me want to coach even more. And knowing that we're able to have that effect on the athletes.
I know you went to Central Dauphin East. What does this area still mean to you?
Oh, it means everything. I will actually be there this coming week for a graduation. And I'll be taking my kids to Hershey Chocolate World. I already had that day planned out. So, you know, it's for me just bringing my kids back home, seeing where I grew up, seeing, you know, the things that I've done and some of my favorite pastimes.
I know you have 3 children. Will they be athletes, or are they athletes? Would you encourage them to try for the Olympics?
Oh, for sure. So my 2-year-old, she's a little girl, and she loves long jump. She loves hurdles. If you look at my social media, you'll see videos of her hurdling. My son, he is 4, about to be 5. He loves everything about track and field. He just loves running. He even trains with my track club right now. I didn't think he was ready this season to step on the line and compete, but I'm pretty sure next season he should be. So you have to be on the lookout for some videos of him competing in some meets. And our son that just graduated high school, he was an athlete as well in high school, and he ran track. So.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, they have some big shoes to follow and to fill, but I'm sure you'll help them along. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you. It was my pleasure.
Coming up on WGAL 8 in Focus, we'll talk with former members of the Olympic field hockey team from the Susquehanna Valley.
This is WGAL 8 in Focus, coverage you can count on.
We are now with some Olympic field hockey players. We're joined by Dana Sensenay-Risser, who played in 2008, and Jill Whitmer-Funk, who played in 2016. Thank you both for being here.
Yeah.
This is, I know you were on different teams, went to different Olympics, but the field hockey community is a small one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I feel like especially in Lancaster, this area, yeah, there's a lot of field hockey players, and they're starting young, which is awesome. I started in 8th grade. And when did you start?
Yeah, I started 7th grade officially, but yeah, the field hockey community is pretty small overall, and I was actually telling your producer earlier that like I got to watch Jill kind of grow up and play in high school, and it's a neat experience to be here together.
What is it about field hockey that attracted you?
I like the speed of the game and just the physicality. It was something new compared to most of my friends played soccer, and my older sister played. Honestly, that's kind of how I got started in it, and I just really loved it.
Yeah, I feel like it was just something different. Just like Dana, I played soccer, and I liked just the different skills that I could learn. Yeah, it was just fun. I grew to love it.
And you ended up coaching high school field hockey.
Yeah, when I got back from the Olympics, I took a teaching position at Cedar Crest High School, and ended up coaching there about 8 years. And coached a little bit of club hockey over the winter as well. And it was a neat experience to give back to the game in that way and really kind of help the next generation of players, some of who are trying out for the Olympic team right now, which is really cool.
What's your advice to them in terms of the Olympics?
Oh, in terms of the Olympics, stay focused and just stay in your circle of control. I mean, that was a big thing for us when we were preparing. You know, you can get really caught up in the environment of the Olympics and just kind of the hoopla, and just staying focused on what you can control and sticking to what you've been training for all along is my best advice.
Was it always a dream?
For me, no, it wasn't a dream, but as I feel like I realized I was pretty good, and I took each step at a time, and then I realized, wow, this is something I really love, and then it became, my dream, yeah.
You both have children now. Do they know mom is an Olympic athlete?
They do.
In a way, I feel like, yeah, we watched them qualify. I had my little girl, she's 4, and yeah, we were watching them qualify, and she was like really into it. She doesn't play yet, but I think maybe she knows a little bit, but not really, you know.
My kids are aware as they get older. My children are 9 and 7 now, and you know, we have a little room in our house that's got a lot of paraphernalia, so they're aware. And my oldest daughter just started playing field hockey, so I got to coach her team, and I think she's starting to understand a little bit what it is as I coach her and kind of work with her, but it's not something that we talk about too often.
Well, I love that you're both wearing some of your Olympic gear. What was Beijing like?
Yeah, it was incredible. Just the atmosphere of being there, the village, getting to meet a lot of kind of what we call celebrity athletes, NBA basketball players. Coach K was there, George W. Bush met us before the opening ceremonies. It was just an amazing experience. The Chinese people were very welcoming, and just the way they welcomed the Olympic athletes and kind of made us feel really special was an incredible experience.
And they certainly put on a spectacular show,
Yes,
which
it
you
was.
said you really didn't get to see like people did on TV.
Yeah, I watched the opening ceremonies after the fact, but being part of it from the athlete procession on was just, there's something about walking through the tunnel to the chants of USA, and you know, hundreds of thousands of people tuned in to see you behind your flag bearer. Was just an incredible experience. I'll never forget.
And I imagine being in the Olympic Village, even in Rio.
It's just cool to know that like the other athletes worked so hard. You just know how hard they work to get there, and it's cool to just be surrounded by those athletes. And yeah, it's just an honor being there.
Yeah, what is that like to represent your country?
Oh, it's such an honor. There's nothing like it. I mean, just standing, that first game when you're standing at in front of everyone, that national anthem playing, it's just, yeah, it's an honor. It's, yeah, representing your country. There's nothing like it. It's pretty awesome.
Giving me goosebumps. Just
I know. Those of us just watching get that kind of feeling, so I can't even imagine what it's like to be there.
It's very humbling. I mean, just kind of the national anthem before that first game, opening ceremonies, we had that opportunity, thankfully, and that kind of was a big moment for us when we were just standing there with all the other USA athletes, watching the torch being lit, just kind of realizing that all of your hard work for the last couple years was really paying off. I was very humbled because I knew I had a lot of support at home. You know, previous coaches, family members that helped me get there. So just, yeah, it was an incredible honor.
Yeah. Oh, well, we're so glad to have you both here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
Of course.
You can watch the Summer Olympics here on WGAL. The opening ceremony is Friday, July 26th. The games run until August 11th. Thank you for joining us for WGAL 8 in Focus. For all of us at WGAL, I'm Susan Shapiro, and you can watch each episode of In Focus, plus WGAL's latest newscasts, original programming, and more. Just download the Very Local app and stream for free on Roku and Amazon Fire TV.